Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Joining me, as always, is my co-host from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, Double OT Terrific Trav. Trav, how are you doing today?
Yeah, it's weird to bow while you're sitting, but
I
the
mean,
attempt
somebody
was
has
there.
to do it. I appreciate it. But who were you bowing to? Were you bowing to the viewers or were you bowing to us?
I'm bowing to the legend. What do you mean?
Well, with us looking at you, it looks like you're bowing to both of us. So it's just like that's why I had to ask.
You wish.
And D, he's not here with us. He's in the Speed Force again. Trav, I swear every time D comes back from the Speed Force, he goes right back
Pull
to
it
it.
back in.
It always, and then Black Adam just came out, so they needed all the heroes that they could get. So D had to go to New York to try and stop the Rock. But joining us today during the Great Turkey War that's coming up, we have a legend. You've heard him in so many anime, video games. Mortal Kombat as Raiden, Injustice as the Joker. One of my favorite series, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as Old Joseph Joestar, and that is the legend himself, Mr. Richard Epcar. Richard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, guys. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Peachy.
So,
I see some of the pictures in the back there.
Hey,
I'm enjoying that.
Hey, you're welcome. I mean, it always seems like whenever we have a guest up here, they just magically appear on my screen. I don't know where they come from.
Happen?
It's a bizarre adventure. That's all.
There's a monkey that lost his arm. I don't know who the hell that is, but I don't know who that character is. I don't know. I've done, I used to tell everybody I've done over 600 characters. Well, I actually looked at IMDb and it's over 1,200 characters.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's so funny. Because we were talking before, and I was like, I'm going to ask him if he thinks he has the most voice characters of all time. And you kind of brought it up.
It's quite possible. I mean, those are a lot. I was surprised myself. I know, it's so funny. There are some characters that really stick out. You go in and you do some stuff like Raiden, of course, and the Joker is great characters. And I love Joseph Joestar and Bato and Jigen and Lupin the Third and Ansem, of course, and Kingdom Hearts. Those, and Akuma, I saw him up there earlier. Those are characters that really kind of stick out in your mind. But there are a lot of, I work pretty consistently, so. There's a lot of times you go in, you do the job, and then you kind of forget about it. And then they come online with, this new game's out, and Richard Epcar's in it. I go, I did that game. Who the hell remembers, So it's kind of hard to keep track. As I said, over 1,200 characters. It's a lot to keep track of. There's my buddy Jigen. He's and favorites.
That's it's funny that you say that because I remember when the My Hero Academia movie had came out, and DC Douglas, he had posted on Instagram. I forgot that I was even in this movie because people were saying, hey, like your name was in the credits, you voiced the character, and he didn't even know it. I feel like that's kind of a good thing when it's just like you're always working so much and you
kind of forget.
You kind of forget, but the fans don't forget and they'll always let you know on Twitter.
Right.
The fans know more than I do. I'll tell you, I go to some of these conventions and they blow me away with the stuff they know. It's unbelievable, and they fill me in a lot of times. And, honestly, sometimes we go in and we do these characters and we don't know the whole, plot of the show or the game or whatever it is you're doing. And the fans, they know. So they fill me in a lot of times.
It's like when Iron Man had asked Steve Rogers, do you know? Yes. So
yes.
Before we get into today's interview, we kind of already started it here at the beginning of the intro, but make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And if D was here, he would say podcast link down below in the description. Like, follow, subscribe. Trav, what is your tip of the day?
Bring your water. That's
Bro, I don't
Drink
have
your water.
anything. I just got an empty coffee mug. I don't have
That's sad. That's
looking like the talk show where they got the empty coffee cups up there.
Yeah, it's like it's nothing in here. But I
love that in movies or TV shows when you can tell it's empty, when they take a drink out of. They usually have the paper ones, the cardboard ones, and they just and there's nothing in there. It just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anyone.
It's the same thing too. Like I always wondered when I was a kid and I would watch those movies where the mom made this giant breakfast and it's just I made breakfast, and it's just like, oh no, I'll eat later. Like, who was she cooking that for? Like, it's like a full course meal, like something that you would,
I can tell you what, not my mom.
And then she saw the next scene of her throwing all the crap out and cussing under her breath. You
know? My favorite is when their phone's literally off and they're on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you can't pretend to dial somebody, and be on the phone with somebody just for sakes. It's like it's a black screen. I know you're not on the phone with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least make it real. I also, my pet peeve is when they hang up and they never say goodbye. Who does
right?
So they always, and every show they just hang up on the person. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that person could have been like, yeah, so I just wanted to ask you, like, how your day? Like, dang, like they just hung up on me like that. Nothing. But Mr. Epcar,
yes,
one
sir.
of the first questions that we ask every guest up here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks is, what is your origin story? Every hero or villain has one. So tell everybody who doesn't know who you are, who you are.
Oh my God, there's people out there that don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Richard Epcar, and I'm a voice actor director. I've done, as I said earlier, I've done over 1,200 characters in games, animation, and anime. Probably best known for Raiden in Mortal Kombat, the Joker in Mortal Kombat, and Injustice, Gods Among Us. I'm Jigen in Lupin the Third. I'm Akuma in Street Fighter. There he is right there. I'm Ansem in Kingdom Hearts. That's a big one. People love Kingdom Hearts. Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and many, many, many more. I came out here, God, a long time ago, fresh out of college. Basically, I drove out here. I literally had $300 in my pocket. That was it. I sold my drum set, and I came out to California to make it big, and I actually did pretty well. I did a lot of TV shows. I did some soaps. I did a couple of movies, and then I was dating this girl, Ellen Stern, who's my wife. We've been married for a long time, and she kind of got me into all this stuff. Actually, she was doing a movie. She had a part in a movie. And the people that were doing the movie had another movie that they were doing, and they didn't like the voices of the actors in it, so they wanted to replace their voices. So they asked her if she would come and audition for it, and she said, "Can I bring my boyfriend?" Who was me. So I went in there, and the guy said, "Have you ever done this before?" I said, "Oh, I've done it a million times, and I never did it before in my life." And the fact that I'm a drummer and an actor really helped with that, because it was dubbing or looping. And you have to hit the mouth flaps, and there's a rhythm to it. So I really kind of took to it like a duck to water. And from that, I got a bunch of other parts. And then from that, I got into a show called Robotech, which was one of the first animes that was on network television, and it became a huge hit. We recorded that at like 2 a.m, and we were all going, who's going to watch this thing? We just thought, no one's going to watch this thing. And to this day, I still have people coming up to me that are Robotech fans, and they just love Robotech. But, we didn't think anything of it. But from that, I got into Digimon. I got into, all these other shows, and Naruto and Bleach, and, just a ton of anime shows, and just kept working. And then I got into the games, and I just started doing a ton of games. I've been in Final Fantasy. I've been in Skyrim. I've been in just, hundreds and hundreds of titles. And so it's just been an incredible journey, actually. And I've really enjoyed it a lot. There's my buddy Ansem. I've really enjoyed it. It's been great. And I direct a lot of stuff. I direct a lot of games and a lot of animation and a lot of live action. My wife and I just did 2 films for Netflix, 2 series. I'm sorry. And they're on right now. One's called Glitch, which is a fun one from Korea. And the other one is called Forecasting Love and Weather, which is another good one. And I'm set to do another one on Monday. It's been an incredible ride. I've been very fortunate. I got to direct and adapt several Academy Award-winning foreign films into English. I got to be a international supervisor for DreamWorks and Universal Pictures, and fly all over the world and supervise movies like Gladiator.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Galaxy Quest, Chicken Run, what's the other one we did? The big one with the Madagascar. I mean, it was just it was a ball, and I had so much fun. I did that for a couple of years, and I literally was all over the globe, and it was just it was a great gig. The problem with that one though was it took me out of the voice acting, and when I came back, I kind of had to start all over again. But it was a great experience, and I just loved the travel. It was really fun.
So to piggyback off of you, when you had said that it had took you out of voice acting and you had to start all over again, was it hard to get back into doing it? Like, because I know like right now in the voice acting world, it's so easy. We've heard from so many of our guests that it's so easy to, get into it, and there are so many opportunities out there to get into. But, when you got back into it, was it as easy getting back into, or was it hard?
No, it was very hard because all the stuff that I had done before I left, they'd replace me,
Right.
Which, I mean, who could blame them? I was gone. So, and when I came back, I basically, I mean, it wasn't like I had to start from scratch because people still knew who I was, but, it was rough. It took me a good 6 months to a year to get, back into the groove again. So, that was a little tough, but it certainly was worth it. The opportunities I had, and like I said, the travel. I went all over the world. I made friends everywhere in the world, and it was just it was a great time. And one of my favorite things about this job is that I get to travel so much. To conventions, and we've been to Japan, we've been to Ireland, we've been to London, we've been to Australia, all over the United States. My wife and I, and so it just it makes it a lot of fun for me because I really enjoy traveling. I enjoy going to new places and meeting new people. So that part's been great.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. I mean, like that's something because I'm 33 years old, and when I turned 31, like that was the thing that I wanted to do. I just wanted to travel more because I'm a professional wrestler, and I've gone to. What was that, sir?
I said I didn't know that.
Yeah, hey, that's why I like doing these interviews, because it's just like we learn stuff about our guests, because I didn't know that you were a huge James Bond fan. It's like you didn't know I was a professional wrestler. So it's always,
since you're a wrestler, this will give you a kick. I got to direct SmackDown versus Raw.
Oh, nice!
Oh, wow, which one? The first
which one?
It was it was a while ago. I don't even remember. It was a while ago, but we had a bus that we configured into a studio, and we took it to all the different venues. Now we would our team. I was a director, and our team would fly sometimes to the venues and meet the bus there, because sometimes the bus was on the road for a long time and we didn't be stuck on the bus, although it was a very nice bus. But I direct a lot of those guys, and one of the memories I have is a Big Show. First of all, I was going, how's this guy going to fit on the bus? He's so huge. I'm 6'6" myself. He's a foot taller than me, and he was like, I don't know, like 400 or 500 pounds. The guy is huge.
Yeah.
So anyway, he comes on the bus, and the first thing he says to me, he says, I could tear a man in half with my bare hands. And I said, most people say hello. So anyway, he got in there, and it was kind of funny because it has happened with a lot of the wrestlers. They all said to me, how can I get into this voice business? I want to be a voice actor. It was just kind of funny. But yeah, some of those guys, and as you well know, it can be very taxing physically, and it's very demanding. And a lot of those guys, oh my God, they throw them on tacks. They break tables on them and chairs on. It's crazy. So anyway, and I directed John Cena, who was great. I directed Batista, who was great. I had a lot of fun with all those guys. And sadly, I can't remember his name right now, but he was the guy who he killed his family and then killed himself. Chris Benoit, yeah, which was really bizarre. And this happened just like a couple, 2-3 weeks after we had done the game. And what was weird about it was that he was such a nice guy when I directed him. He seemed like a very gentle soul. And I mean, when I heard this, I was shocked. But you never know what's going on.
Even his closest friends and family were just as shocked as you were.
Yeah.
So that's how out of the norm that whole situation was. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like something. He was on steroids or something, messed with his head or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
that was a shame.
Yeah, there's so many stories out
on
there.
CTE stuff.
Yeah, and it's just I know everybody has their own opinions, and it's wild because I want to say a few months ago somebody had sparked some controversy by talking about him, and it's like, yeah, Chris Benoit did what he did, but you have to think about his wife's family that still are traumatized by those events. So it's just like people, they always bring up Chris Benoit and, you know, the horrible thing that he did, but it's just like they never bring up his wife, Nancy Benoit, who was also a popular wrestler, you know, back in the 90s and the 80s. And it's sad because it's just like whenever somebody brings up Nancy Benoit, they never talk about her legacy that she left behind with wrestling. They only talk about, you know, her final days, unfortunately. So it's like you said, it's just like you never know what's going through somebody's head. And like that's why I'm somebody that is an advocate when it comes to mental health. And, you know, I always tell people it's just like you got to stay positive. If you need to talk to somebody, you know, me and Trav, has been times it's just like I've been going through it. I reach out to Trav, Trav's there for me. And, you know, it's good to reach out to people who you know that you can trust and depend on. And like they're not going to you don't feel like you're being judged because you're going through something right now, you know?
Yeah. And I'm looking at, no, I agree with you. In fact, I was going to say to Trav about, you know, it's frightening, particularly when you have girls. I have a daughter and a son. My son's happily married and he has a little boy. But my daughter isn't married yet. And it's scary. You hear these stories about these guys that get very possessive of people. And, you know, it's terrifying for women, I think, in particular. You know, you want to end a relationship and then the guy just goes bonkers and, you know, doesn't want to end the relationship. It's like, you know, people get a little crazy.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. It's sad. It's sad how some people can be. I mean, like even guys that like if a girl says no to them, you know, it's like there's so many women out there where it's just like they'll just say yes to a guy, give them their number because they just don't know like what's going to happen if they say no. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of dudes didn't get their tails whooped by their parents when they were kids. Because my mom, she stayed whooping me all the time. You know what I'm saying? And like that's how I became the man that I am today. So thanks, Mom. And you know, it's crazy. When I was doing stand-up comedy, I had mentioned like how much she used to whoop me, and she was in the crowd, and everybody was just laughing. I was like, man, don't y'all laugh too hard because she might come up here on stage and whoop me right now. And after the show, she was like, why do you tell all those people that I used to whoop you? I was like, because you
yeah, but you were saying that she, you know, she gave you a sense of discipline, which was good. And I think that's sorely lacking in a lot of kids today, unfortunately. But you know, I'm not saying that about everyone. I mean, there, you know, but there is some parents that just let their kids, you know, run crazy and don't, you know, you tow them in a little bit. You know, I
was gonna say we see it in we all been to the grocery store.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's like you need to discipline your child a little bit, you know. Anyway, I saw Memoirs of an Invisible Man up there. That was one of my all-time favorite gigs that I had. I got to work with Sam Neill and Daryl Hannah and Stephen Tobolowsky, who's become a good friend since. And actually, my wife wrote a sitcom called Life's a Bitch, which you can see on YouTube. If you go check it out, please leave a nice comment or a comment if you like, and just like it. That would help us. We're trying to get it made into a series.
Nice.
But it's called Life's a Bitch with Stephen Tobolowsky, Ellen Stern, and myself. And it's on YouTube. You can find it. Just put in Life's a Bitch, and you can put in Richard Epcar or Ellen Stern, and it'll come up. And there's 2 teasers for the show, and I think they're really cute, funny. And my wife wrote them, and we shot them. And so we're hoping to do more with that. But yeah, Memoirs was a really fun time. I had a great time working on that show.
Yeah,
got the 2 jokers there.
The
Joker on the right. I thought I was going to lose my job because when they had that guy, I said, that guy, I'm sorry, he looks like he doesn't look like the Joker. He looks like a guy cosplaying the Joker.
Yeah,
the producers, and they were, I don't know if they were too happy about it, but they did. They changed him back to more classic Joker later on, so I was really happy about that. And I love the Joker that they came up with in Mortal Kombat 11. That Joker is probably my favorite Joker out of all the Jokers, and and they wrote some really great stuff for him. And I got to act with amazing, Sylvester Stallone and Peter Weller and, people like that. It was just incredible to be able to work with those guys. So really fun stuff.
I just wanted to say too, I'm going to make sure that I drop the link to Life's a Bitch in the description. So that way,
thank you. Yeah.
when we put this video up on YouTube, people can click the link and watch it. Yeah, that's what we do, man. It's just like we like to support everybody.
And
around
send me a link, and I'll promote your show as well.
Hey, we appreciate that. It just for that. I mean, like I was gonna mention it anyway, but we always give people breadsticks up here because that's like we're like the Olive Garden podcast. When you come up here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, your family.
That's right.
I love that. That's great. Now you're making me hungry. You're making me hungry.
It's about that time, middle of the afternoon.
It really is.
I'm supposed to
based out of
Virginia.
We're from Virginia. Yeah.
Virginia, okay.
Yeah, I had saw that you were. I think it was KatsuCon. It was this year. And when I had saw that you were going to be there, I was really excited. But everybody just seemed to have gotten COVID at the start of this year, and I remember I was just like, man, I'm not trying to go to any con right now. So I mean, I know we were talking about cons at the start of the interview, but how was it, getting back into the con scene, after the we're still in the pandemic, but how was it getting back into it?
It was really great. I missed meeting with the fans and everything, and I just it's just a wonderful experience. They really have fun. I really have fun. My wife really has fun. We really enjoy it a lot. Aside from the travel, which is nice, but to meet with the fans that really enjoy the work that we do, because you have to remember a lot of the stuff we do, we're in dark booths all day and we don't really talk to anybody, we don't meet anybody. So when you go to these conventions and they really love what it is you do and are really effusive about your work, it really makes you feel good. So I really love getting back. Every con I've been to since they started reopening, everybody wears masks. And now Ellen and I did go to a convention in Canada, Toronto, and we did get COVID there, but that was not from the convention. That was from right before we left. We were exposed and we didn't realize it. But anyway, that was horrible. We got to do a day or so, and then we just were basically locked down in our room at the hotel, and we were miserable. And it was the hotel was terrible, and they had terrible food, and they didn't have room service or anything like that. So I had to go out, and you feel like crap. It's just like really bad. Even though we were vaccinated, we still did not feel good. And so and there was a bunch of terrible, and my wife's a vegan, which makes life really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really difficult. Wherever we go, it's just hard for her to find anything to eat, and it drives me insane, to be honest with you. But anyway, I keep saying to her, the cow ate grass. That's a vegetarian. Maybe you could try to have a steak, but she won't do it. So anyway, we came back and we made an agreement with this was Anime North, and we're going to be coming back again this year because a lot of the fans were disappointed. They didn't really get to see us. We didn't really do any of our panels. So we're going to come back this coming year, and we'll be back there. And hopefully we have, I wish I could promote some conventions. We have a possible convention in New Jersey we're going to be doing. I'm trying to think of where else we might be going. It's been kind of weird. I mean, everything's kind of dropped, as far as because of COVID, and it kind of screwed everything up. But I got to tell you, the work has been insane, and we're just working like crazy. So it didn't seem to bother that. And during COVID, we have a booth in our house, and I'm in my office and I'm pointing at the booths over there. But I did a lot of recording for games and animation and dubbing and directing. We both directed from the house remotely, and so we did a lot of work during COVID, and we're continuing to do so. So
nice.
yeah.
Trav?
Yeah. No, you literally brought up my question was, have you converted over to doing, building the booth in your house and just kind of switching over there versus traveling to the studios?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I still like to go to the studio. I like the socializing at the studio. I like to be with people. This is you hear the people in your headphone and all that, and it's not terrible, but I prefer to go there because, when you do it at home, you're not only the actor, but you're the engineer, you're the, you have to edit it, you have to do all this stuff for them, and just you wind up being, worrying about a lot of things that if I go to a studio, I don't have to worry about. I could just be the actor and do my performance and not worry about all that other stuff. So I always prefer to go to the studio, and I've been going to a lot of studios lately. So I'm directing a new project on Monday. I'm starting a new series that I'm directing, and I'll be going to the studio every day. I could be at home and doing it remotely, but I would much rather go there and do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because we hear that from a lot of voice actors where it's like some people, they prefer to just stay at home because like they literally can just go into the booth in their pajamas and then get right to work. Whereas like you were just saying, going to the studio, it's like you get to interact with people because I know when the pandemic had first started and people were working from home, it's just like sometimes it's like you need to have like that, what's the word I'm looking for? Like something activity, the social activity, like where you actually around like other people and whatnot.
Yeah, I think social interaction.
Social interaction. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sometimes you need that because
you absolutely do. I think honestly, there was a big wave of people getting depressed during this. COVID because everybody was isolated, and nobody saw anybody, and everyone was hiding in the house, So this thing is terrible, and I worry for our children. I really do. It seems like things are getting worse and worse all the time. I don't mean to be pessimistic about that, but I hope we can turn this whole thing around. It's everything, from the politicians to our country. Everything is just really kind of on a weird negative bent, and I just hope we can get this train back on its tracks. So
that's why
if D was here and you mentioned train, I got to put on my JoJo hat. Even though it's part 4 Jotaro, but when it doesn't have the symbols up there, I look like a train conductor, so I'm putting it on.
I was gonna say
my God!
That's why I limit my kids' technology time. Get them outside, man, because outside playing, versus just being on the you know how to socially interact online, but then you get around people and you're awkward. You're uncomfortable. You don't know how to interact with people face to face. And that's why, I just pretty much during the weekday, like they're not allowed on their phones for real. Good. And then only X amount of hours during the weekend because they need to get outside and play and interact with, their friends.
I see people at restaurants, with the kids, and the kids everyone's on their phone and they're all texting, they're texting people, they're just not present, and I just, I don't know. I think they should just, particularly dinner time, put the phones.
I was going to say, we're still a no phones at the dinner table kind of people. No phones at the dinner table.
Yeah.
I remember I was dating this girl, and whenever we would go out for dinner, she used to always be on her phone, like when we were hanging out and whatnot. And I remember one time I was just like, hey, give me your phone. And she was like, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm leaving both of our phones in the car because it's like, I actually want to talk to you while we're at the dinner table. Good. And like, she got an attitude, but she did do it. But it's just, I just feel like, you need that social interaction. It's just like, you can always be on your phone, and, all of this stuff that's going on social media can wait. It's going to be up there.
Yeah, everybody's addicted to their phones. It's really bizarre.
You don't want to miss anything.
I'm guilty myself.
Oh yeah.
But you're a busy person though. So, I understand. It's like, Trav knows, there's times where we're watching wrestling and I'm just sitting there on my phone and I'm like, Trav, like I'm interviewing these guests, man. I'm trying to line up guests for us and whatnot. And it's, it's just the way that the world is sometimes. But, I wanted to piggyback and go back to, what you had said at the start of the interview about you being a drummer. So I want to know, like, if you hadn't gotten into voice acting and acting, like, what were you hoping to do with a music career?
Drumming. I've always loved drumming, but I don't know that I would become a professional drummer. My son is a professional drummer. He's very successful. He's a Broadway drummer.
Nice.
He's played studio gigs with Rihanna, Justin Timberlake, John Legend. He's been on Seth Meyers several times. He's been on The Tonight Show.
Wow, it's crazy.
John Epcar. And he was with a band called Carney, and they were unbelievable. And they opened for U2 in Canada. And anyway, he's done very well with his drumming, and he became a drummer because of me. And
nice.
I would never advise him to do that. In fact, I tried to advise him out of it because I know it's a very, very difficult thing. But he's actually made a go of it, and he's doing really well. So I'm really proud of him and really happy for him. And I would love to do that. Drumming to me has always been kind of my therapy. I just enjoy it. I've always had a band. I don't at present, but I've always been in a band. And I was in a band called the LA River Band, and we played around town, and we played at a bunch of places around town, and it was really fun. And we didn't really make much money doing it, to be honest with you, but it was, like I say, it was my therapy, and I had to play drums and sing, and it was really, really fun for me to do that. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm maybe when the smoke clears a little bit from this COVID crap, maybe we can get the old band back together.
Get the old band back together.
Yeah. Band, yeah.
Love
so
old band.
What were you jamming back then versus some of the newer stuff you're listening to now? Are you listening to anything new now?
Well, honestly, our band, the bands that I always play in, we're basically 60s bands. We play 60s and 70s music. That's basically what we've been playing. I was in another band briefly. I hated the name of the band, so I think I've got a mental block against it. I can't remember, but it was such a stupid name. It was like, the Cow Pies or something ridiculous. I don't remember what the hell it was, but
see, it sounds ridiculous until the band blows up, because I think all the biggest rock bands, when you really break down the name, the Beatles, Kiss, Metallica, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? So, but then you hit that level of success and you're like, this is a cool band,
Well, there's some truth to that. But anyway, we played a little more 80s stuff in that band, and that was fun. But I just love the music of the 60s. I love classic rock. That was the stuff I grew up with, and it's really fun for me to play that kind of stuff. We play that kind of stuff, and people seem to really, really enjoy it. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they changed kind of the name of that to, like, I don't know if you know this, but they call a lot of those bands like boat rock now. Chicago, Styx,
boat rock,
Eagles. Yeah, just call it boat rock. Yacht. Oh, I'm sorry, yacht rock, not boat rock. Yacht rock.
Why is it yacht rock?
Yeah, why? I gotta.
I think it's just because it's music that's mostly listened to by an older generation who own yachts now. I don't know. But,
Trav, are you telling me that that the yacht rock is what would have been playing on the Titanic when it was sinking?
I don't
not
think
no
so.
more.
That was like in 1912, I believe, the Titanic sank. So.
But because the classic station here, they're now playing like Nirvana.
Yeah, they are.
Stained and stuff.
I love Nirvana. I really love their stuff. I think Nirvana was a great band. I was sorry he committed suicide. Another unhappy guy that it's sad. You see these guys that are just incredibly successful. Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, the guy from Nirvana,
Darrington from Linkin Park.
It's just sad. You're going, they're doing well, they're being successful, and yet they're just so unhappy that they don't want to live anymore. And you're just going, God, I just anyone who's listening to this, I hope if you do feel that sense of sadness, I hope you'll try to get some help and not hurt yourself. And because that decision you make, it lasts for eternity, whereas the problem you may have may go away after a while. So I implore you to please seek help for that. And there's a lot of phone numbers you can call to get help, and I just think we really need to focus more on that, because it's, there's no need for anyone to feel like they have to kill themselves. You know what I mean?
Especially when we're talking about people with families, children.
Yeah.
The snowball effect, as we because we like to snowball on this podcast. The snowball effect that causes for so many people is insane.
It's devastating, and that's
it's devastating.
The thing that they don't realize is it's not just you're ending your life, but you're hurting people around you, people that love you, people that care about you. And I think that it's not fair to do that. And there's no problem that you can't surmount. So
yeah, I agree, man. And it's I know that we're talking about this.
We went off on a dark tangent.
No, but this is what we do up here.
Happens?
This is what happens. This is what we do up here, man.
About people killing themselves and people kill their family. It's like, what the hell kind of podcast is this?
But no, but that's what we do up here. And since we're talking about it, me and Trav, how we became friends. We were friends on Facebook, and I was in a dark spot, it was very dark at this time, and I remember. Trav used to always invite me over to his house. He's like, come on over and all this stuff. And I remember, man, there were days where it's just I was just ready to end it all. That's the reason why I got this tattoo of hope on me, because I never gave up. But it's just like I say, it's sometimes it's you just need that one person to show you that they care about you. Yeah. And that's all that it takes, man. And that's why I said earlier, I'm an advocate when it comes to mental health, and always, speaking positive things into existence, because when you speak negatively all the time, then that's the mindset that you're going to always have. But if you speak positive and, you surround yourself with people that are trying to do, better things with their life and whatnot, it really helps you in the long run.
Yeah. And I think just people being kinder in general. We're in such a thing right now, in this country where everybody hates everybody and everyone's mean to everybody, and if you don't agree with me, you should die. And it's just we need to lighten up on this crap, and and just be a little kinder of everybody. And everybody has a right to their opinion, and you just have to be. We have to be a little more understanding, I think,
and compassionate,
and show and like Jigen and shoot everybody.
Have empathy for others.
Yes, empathy.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. And there's people out there that have no empathy.
Mm-hmm. So if D was here, he always loves to ask our guests, what is some advice that you would give to anybody that would love to get into voice acting?
Go to medical school. Where is D, by the way? What happened to D?
He's still at work right now. He literally just called my phone, and I was just like, yeah, do you want to join us? You don't have to be on video, you can do audio. And he said, nah, you and Trav got it. And I was like, all right.
All right, well, tell D I'm very disappointed that he's not here for the show, and that I just think it's a real slap in the face, you can tell. But anyway, honestly, the best advice I can give anyone to do this kind of work is just to become the best actor you can be. Audition for plays, take classes, do whatever you can to become the best actor, because it's a very competitive business. A lot of people have difficulty, reading out loud, and they want to be in this business. Well, that's not going to work. So you have to just, my advice to those people, read out loud every day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Pick something and just read it out loud. Just keep reading and reading, because when you do that, you become very, very good at it. And then it's, when you're thrown in that booth for an audition and you suck, they're not going to invite you back.
Right.
So you want to be competitive when you're starting out, and the best way to do that is just become a really good actor and be able to read that stuff, because we don't get to see the scripts before we go in the booths. We have to cold read a performance. So basically they throw us in there. We have to bring that script to life, without knowing much about it. And we have a director who hopefully helps us and all that, but there are some not so great directors out there also. So you have to jump in with both feet, make decisions, and just bring that character to life any way you can. So, it can be a great career. It really is. I've been very, very fortunate. I work constantly. I work more than I want to sometimes. And, it's getting to the point where I think I'm going to start turning stuff down more so, because I just, I'm at the point where I want to do things that I really enjoy, that I want to do, and I don't want to do things that I don't care about so much. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that.
Also, when you've been doing it 40 years, not to age you, you earn that right to, pick and choose
I would hope
different things instead of chasing the check.
I would hope so.
Right. I do want to ask you though, real quick, just kind of for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Is, we see the 007 posters. I'm a huge 007 fan.
Oh, cool.
It's something me and Banks don't really talk about. So there it is.
Bond watch on.
Hey.
I just got this back from the factory. They totally redid it for me. I love it.
It's got all the gadgets in it.
Well, I wish
it's okay. You ain't gotta tell us.
I wish it had the the thing, the infrared burner. This is the actual watch that Pierce wore in GoldenEye. So this is.
I was gonna ask, is that your favorite?
I was about to ask
Sean Connery or Pierce?
My favorite Bond is Sean Connery.
Connery,
without a
rest
doubt.
in peace.
He is the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. He was the original, and he's the best. And I just did a podcast yesterday with a guy. We were talking about Bond. He wanted me on the show because he knows what a Bond nut I am.
Mm-hmm.
But those shows. Well, when I was 15, I lost my mom, and I was very sad. And my sister took me to see Goldfinger. And I just love that movie so much, and I totally fell in love with the Bond thing, and I fell in love with Sean Connery. I fell in love with the whole thing. It was just so great. But the thing that I was talking about with him was there was something really magical about those movies with Sean. It was like, of course that was before I was young, and it was before I did a lot of traveling throughout the world. But there was something magical, and even those places, they would have meetings, and they were like these big museums and stuff. They would have meetings. It was just incredible, and the music, John Barry's music, was just so lush and incredible, and I loved it so much. And I'm still a huge Bond fan. I love all of the actors who have played James Bond. They've all brought something interesting and unique to it. But I really feel like Sean is the guy who really nailed it and was just. Bond. He was James Bond. And,
I can see that, because for me, Daniel Craig is like my Bond, because coming out in 2006 and I'm 15 years old or whatever, that's the only Bond that's been around really in my life. Like the Pierce Brosnan movies, I was 7-8 years old, when they came out. But I've just always been real partial to Roger Moore. Octopussy's my favorite. I love all of his Bond movies, like all of them. Man with a Golden Gun, Octopussy, A View to Kill. Like, I love Roger Moore.
My two favorite Moores are The Spy Who Loved Me and For Your Eyes Only. Those are my two favorite Moore Bonds, because I felt they were more serious. I felt like with Roger and with Pierce, they got a little cartoony with the stuff at times, and
for sure.
I like when they keep it a little more real and gritty, and that's why I did like Daniel Craig. I thought he was a great Bond, and he was really tough and gritty and very believable, in the action. And here was a guy you knew he could handle himself and take care of the bad guy. So he was great. I loved it too. I don't know why he was in such a hurry to get out of this, but I think at this point I think he realized he was getting a little long in the tooth.
I was gonna say, it's 15 years of doing the role, kind of.
Well, look at Roger Moore. He did 8 of them, and the last one he looked like Grandpa McGee, so that was kind of scary.
Well, I think people forget too that Pierce Brosnan did 4 of them. They were they came out so quickly. Versus Daniel Craig's, where he had 5, but it's over the span of 15 years or whatever.
Yeah. I have a funny story about Pierce. I was in Kauai with my family. It was my wife and my anniversary, and we brought the kids out. We were at this table at this restaurant. My son ordered a bottle of wine, and so he ordered a red bottle of wine. So she's pouring me the wine, and I ordered fish, and because I ordered it before he ordered the wine. So anyway, she's pouring the red wine. I have a plate of fish in front of me, and I said to the waitress, "Don't tell James Bond I'm drinking red wine with fish." And literally, as soon as I said that, Pierce Brosnan walked in the restaurant.
That's amazing.
And he walked by the table, and we made eye contact, and I raised my glass to him, and he smiled at me and winked at me. So he just seems like a super, super nice guy.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Bond. I was
going to ask you.
Say what you were saying, Mr. Epcar, about the realism with the Bonds. I always felt like he was more of a superhero, James Bond.
Yeah, he is. He's the original superhero.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
He really is. He was before all the Marvel and all that, all that stuff. He really was but I like it when it's more grounded in reality. I find it more interesting because all that stuff, the espionage stuff, I think that's really interesting.
Absolutely.
You don't have to make it fantastical all the time. But
well, I love spy movies.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I haven't seen one in a minute though, but
355 came out earlier this year.
Is it on Netflix
with all the girls?
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Drop me a message, Trav, so that way.
Yeah, it's got Bryce Dallas Howard in it.
I know that.
Couple people I'm drawing a blank on, but yeah, it's just kind of collage of women that all work for a different country, and they all come together to fight like the big government that's hiding in the shadows type thing. I mean, it's a really good, espionage kind of movie. I dig that stuff.
So, Mr. Epcar,
Yes,
I know that, we're sort of a different podcast. I mean, we could have spent the entire thing talking about, every role that you've been in. There's only one role that I want to talk about. Trav already knows what it is.
Yeah.
And that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And, it's one thing that I always say, like one of my biggest things was to get all of the cast from part 4 of JoJo up here, because that's my favorite part. And we've done a pretty good job at getting almost like most of the cast that was in part 4. But it's awesome to have you up here and join us. But I want to ask you, like, what are your thoughts on the series so far? Like, did you expect for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure to be this huge anime that it was going to be?
I have to tell you, I absolutely love Joseph Joestar. God, it was so many years ago. We did a couple of trial episodes, and they had everybody do an English accent for some reason. And I'm not really sure why they did that, but then they decided, thank God, they decided not to have everybody do an English accent. Not that I can't do an English accent, but it just made the whole thing more difficult, I think, to do. But I love the character. He's a really good fit for me, and it's a lot of screaming. There he is. He's just always screaming, but he's just a really fun character. I can totally relate to him. I think the older I get, I look more and more like him. It's kind of scary. But I loved it. And there was the thing, I do a lot of these shows, and the thing I really liked about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was every episode they would paint themselves into a corner, and that you're going, how are they going to get out of this? And I just thought that was really well done in that show. And they somehow managed to get out of it every show. And I watched every episode, and I don't do that because first of all, I don't have time to do that.
Right.
But second of all, I'm generally not that interested, to be honest with you. But this particular show, I would watch this stuff and I just go, this is insane. And the thing when the thing got in his arm, remember that? Oh my God, that was so gross. The thing got in his arm, and so that was, I had to watch the show, and it was equal parts of creepy and thriller and action and humor, and I just think the show is wonderful. Now, my gripe about that show is that, like Lupin the Third, we've been doing that for 20, 30 years.
Yep.
And I started the original. I directed the Red Jacket series, and I put that cast together, which is the actual cast, that now the official cast of Lupin the Third. And I was told that our cast actually is more popular than the Japanese cast. So
I mean, all of y'all are iconic. It's a great show. Like when I found out that the movie was coming out in theaters, Lupin the First, I was there. I think Trav, didn't we have like a podcast recording? And I was like, hey, bro, Lupin the Third is only going to be in theaters for one day.
Yeah, for that weekend. For that
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so bummed I didn't get to see it in the theater. And I actually wrote the adaptation for the movie.
Nice.
And but I was so glad they used our guys, because they could have gone another way. And every time something like that happens, you know, it's always scary. And there's been a lot of times where there's been new series and they've made us all re-audition for our parts, if you can believe that. So it kind of sucks, but we really are now pretty much ensconced as the Lupin cast. But my point was this: I'm Jigen. I've been playing Jigen for 20, 30 years. With JoJo, they had one great season with him, and then they aged him 30 years. It's like, why do that? Why not just have the character go through, and because he's a great character. I love that character, and I just wish they would have done another season or two or whatever with that character, because he's just great. So I was a little disappointed about that when I had to come back, he was like old and doddering, and he was just like, feeble. And, I didn't want to see him like that. I wanted him when he was, hardy and strong,
Hey, we'll talk to Rocky about it. We'll get it sorted out.
All right, good.
Yeah, because I mean,
tell me to do a prequel or, retroactive thing.
That's right.
Yeah, they should do something. I mean, I know that you had got a lot of love when his birthday just passed recently.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's a really, really wonderful character. I like him a lot. And he, he has his faults. He makes mistakes. He screws up. Don't let him fly a plane. But he was a great character, and I really love playing him a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so one final JoJo question, and I'll pass the ball to Trav. If you could have your very own stand, what stand would it be?
Well, I love Helmet Purple, of course.
Okay.
Okay. Although JoJo has a pretty rockin' stand too. His stand's pretty tough.
Okay. Well, now I wanted to piggyback off something that you had mentioned with the Lupin movie, because recently you had the Super Mario stuff happen, and Charles Martinet, he was replaced by Chris Pratt in the movie. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on voice actors that have been voicing a character for so long, and then when a movie gets announced, the person that was voicing that character doesn't get considered or for that role? Because as I know, Tara Strong, she's been very vocal on him not being Super Mario in that movie.
Well, I agree with Tara. Listen, it hurts, and I think the fans appreciate it when you use the original voices. It's like they did an animated thing of Mortal Kombat, and they didn't use me as Raiden. And a lot of the fans did not like that. They said, there he is. That was magical, the way we said it.
I told you the TV has a mind of its own. It's a bizarre TV.
I just said Raiden, and he just came up. But I just think it sucks, to be honest with you. And I think these producers have this thing in their head that they have to get these, these very expensive movie stars to do the voices. And, and I hate to say it, but most of the time those guys suck. They're just not voice actors, and it's a different medium. And I think that if you're used to hearing somebody do something, you want to hear that voice. It makes it more of that character. That's why I was so delighted that they used, because they were talking about using an all-star cast for the Lupin movie, which I would have hated that, but you have no control over that stuff. So I nothing against Chris Pratt. I love Chris Pratt. He's great, but I just think that I'm sure the fans would have preferred to hear Charles, and I think it sucks. The same thing happened with the Transformer movies. They didn't want to use Peter Cullen, as Optimus Prime, and you know what? He's like the best thing in that movie.
Yeah.
And he sounds like Optimus Prime, and he does a great job. And it's funny, I bumped into him at a convention. I said, I was so glad they cast you in the movie. He said, you're glad.
Yeah.
But I just think they're just sometimes the clients and the producers, they just they think that if they put in a movie star, it's going to make the movie blow up. But the thing is, these characters are already established, and the fans already know the voices. So I think it's a dumb thing. And like I say, I'm so glad they didn't do that to us on the Lupin movie, because they were talking about doing that. And I kind of fought for us to get that movie, and it worked out. But it could have gone the other way,
That's good. It would have been weird watching that.
It would have been weird, and it's like Chris Pratt. He doesn't sound anything like Mario. I saw a clip of it. It's just like he's just using his regular voice. And that's the thing with movie stars. They just they're just doing their own voice. They don't become a character, because they're hiring them because they're a known commodity. So they want them to use their regular voice, whether it's that character or not. And I think that's wrong. That's the good thing about voice actors. Voice actors become the characters they're portraying, So anyway, I feel bad for Charles. I think it's shitty, and fie on those producers that came up with that.
I was going to say, I do think the studio think that name value is going to get more people to see a movie when it comes to an animation. And I don't think it does 0%. It doesn't matter who is voicing in the animation. We care about the animation. We care about the story. And that's it.
If it's good and they do a good
job.
If
it's good, it's good.
It's like, there's so many of these kids animated movies, and it's like, you think the kid cares that
Exactly. That is what I always say.
They don't give a crap. They don't, they're just there to enjoy the movie. I just think it's I think DreamWorks started this whole thing. We'll blame them, but they just got into this thing where they had to have movie stars do all these characters. I just don't think it's necessary.
That damn Shrek.
Shrek started it. Yeah, true.
Right, so we'll roll into these fan questions real quick. This first one comes from our boy, the Land Osprey. He says,
It comes from Odd Boy?
No, the Land Ward Spray.
Oh.
Is that how you say it, Banks?
Yes, the Land Wardo Spray.
Because I don't call him this. This is his internet name, but I don't
even know what that means.
I don't want to say his name on here and him get. I don't want my name on there, but he says, ask him about his journey with Kingdom Hearts and if there's any future voiceovers he'll be doing in the series.
I hope so. I don't know, to be honest with you. That's kind of a fun thing too. The way I got the role for Ansem, now I've had, as I said, I've done over 1,200 characters. I've had to audition for pretty much every one of them. I may be a handful of jobs I was hired without auditioning, and Kingdom Hearts was one of them. And the reason it is because Billy Zane did the first one, and for whatever reason they didn't want him back for the second one, or he didn't want to come back, whatever the reason was. The guy who does the voice of Ansem in Kingdom Hearts in Japan does the voice of Batou in Ghost in the Shell. So the Japanese producers asked the Disney people, who does the voice of Batou in America? And they said Richard Epcar. So they just hired me to do the voice, which was wonderful. So anyway, I got the part because of that. And there's a funny story. When I went in there, there was 6 Japanese producers and 6 Disney producers in the booth. And I would do a line, and the engineer would come on the talk back and go, just a minute. And they would talk amongst themselves for 5 minutes. And they come back and say, can you do that a little slower? So I did the line a little slower, and they go, just a minute. And they would talk amongst themselves for 5 or 10 minutes. Can you do that a little faster? And this went on all day long. And then finally we had a break, and I took the engineer aside. I said, how did Christopher Lee put up with that? They said, they did it to him once, and he said, all right, I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this. I'm going to read this script from the top to the bottom, and then I'm going home. I thought that was, great. But of course, he's Christopher Lee.
It's Christopher Lee. You do whatever he wants.
That's right. So anyway, to answer that question, a long answer, I'm not sure. I'm still Terra Xehanort. As we know, Ansem kind of disappeared. So we don't know if he'll be back. Maybe he'll be back in flashbacks. Who knows? I don't know. I would love it if he could.
And the last fan question is from Blue Bear, and they want to know how was it like to work on the anime dub of Speed Racer X as the character name Rex Racer, please? And what were your thoughts on them not finishing the whole thing?
I really enjoyed it. He was a really fun character. He was a character that I saw when I was a kid growing up. So it was really fun for me to play that character. And I've done a few of things like, there was a show called Gigantor, which I got to write for, and a few of these shows that I grew up watching when I was a kid that I actually got to work on. And so that was really neat. I love playing Racer X. He's a cool character.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I mean, we're here at the end of the interview now. Thank you so much, Mr. Epcar.
We had questions. That was it.
Well, I mean, hey, we know that
some of them already got answered as we were talking, so they kind of get.
Yeah, and then plus, you have to go, and we don't want to hold you up any longer, but
that.
We really appreciate you joining us. And I just want to ask now. I'm kind of drawing a blank because I'm just like, well, should we ask him these questions? But no, we're fine because you have to go. But can you let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at?
Please follow me on Instagram. I really would like it if you would follow me on Instagram. It's just Richard Epcar on Instagram. Please follow me. I would love it. That's where I post a lot of my stuff. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I don't know if there's anybody who follows.
Hey, I'm on LinkedIn.
Well, I'm on LinkedIn also. But Instagram is the one that I really care about. I also have a website, richardepcar.com. For anyone who wants to get an autographed picture, you can go to richardepcar.com. And for anyone who wants a personal, personalized video of me for a birthday or whatever, anniversary, go to Cameo, and it's Richard Epcar Cameo, and you can find me there.
Awesome.
And that's basically it.
Awesome. All right, thank you. And Trav, let everybody know where they can find you at.
That's right. I'm on Instagram at ZK Audio, and I'm on the Twitter at TRAVIOSCK. Banks, #1 hero.
Hey, you can find me at Hero Benjamin Banks at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you, everybody, for watching this interview.
One more comment. I just want to say one more thing to everybody who's watching this. Please, 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 this is so important. Go out and vote. Please vote. It's really important. Our democracy really depends on it. This is really a scary time. So please go out and vote.
And you heard it from Mr. Epcar. Go out and vote. Keep that pinky up. Stay safe. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace. Thank you for watching a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content on our channel. Make sure you check out our podcast where we release new episodes every Tuesday, and the video of that episode is uploaded on Friday. And you can find new episodes of our podcast on all podcast platforms. Make sure you follow all the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we have a Patreon. If you're feeling generous and would love to donate to us, it's at Leveling Up Banks. And huge shout out to our patrons. We really appreciate you and thank you for the support. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.